We've got some mixed messaging coming out of Russia on Ukraine. Yesterday, Russian President Putin declared a 3-day ceasefire that would start next week and said it was ready for peace talks. But then his foreign minister said Russia was still holding out for total victory over Ukraine. President Trump's special envoy to Ukraine, retired General Keith Kellogg, joins us now. What are we to believe here?
Dana, thanks for having me. Look, I think Lavrov is way off. We're in pretty good position when it comes to the Ukrainians right now, and I think President Trump in his first 100 days has accomplished more than the previous administration did in 1,200 days, and not just the Biden administration. I'm talking about all world leaders. I don't care if you talk about the former Chancellor of Germany, Merkel, or you talk about French President Macron. President Trump has it right. Look, we were in London last week, Dana, and we came up with what we call a term sheet. We came up with 22 very specific actions that, after very candid and frank and hard discussions with the Ukrainians, we think we're in a very, very good position. They didn't like them all, but nobody's going to like the final position that you come up with. That's normal when you have any negotiations. But I think we're in a pretty good shape with them. And a 3-day ceasefire is absurd. What the president wants is a permanent, comprehensive ceasefire, sea, air, land, infrastructure, for a minimum of 30 days, and then we can extend that. He's absolutely right. The president has this one right on the money. And that's where we want to go to. And when you look at everything the Ukrainians are willing to work with, now it's over to the Russians, over to Putin. Okay, we've got one side. Now you need to come up with the other side. And I think we're close. Look, this is the last 100 yards to an objective in the military. It's the toughest 100 yards. It's sort of like a marathon. The first mile isn't the hardest. It's the last mile that's the hardest. And we're in the last mile. We're almost there. We're in a good position. President Trump has driven us to that position. And I feel, at least when it comes to Ukrainians, are very comfortable at where we're at right now.
Speaking of the Ukrainians, here's President Zelensky yesterday.
Russia has consistently rejected everything and continues to manipulate the world, trying to deceive the United States. Now, yet again, another attempt at manipulation. For some reason, everyone is supposed to wait until May 8th before ceasing fire, just to provide Putin with silence for his parade.
It sounds like President Trump and Zelensky are on the same page on that front, given your first on that answer. Yeah. But I wonder about this. Putin has continued to shell and bomb civilians in the country. Right. Does Ukraine have what it needs to fight back right now, or is it basically a sitting duck waiting for something to happen?
No, look, Dana, Russia's not winning this war. Russia has not made any major advances in the last year and a half. They haven't taken the city of Kyiv, the capital. They haven't pushed to the west of the Dnieper River, which is a major obstacle. They haven't taken Odessa. They've lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers, and they haven't really moved anything. It moves by meters, not by miles. And the Ukrainians are fighting on their own soil. They're fighting hard. So when Russia says they're winning, no, they're not. If they are winning, they've already won this war after 3 years, and now we're into our 4th year. So I think they need to sit back and realize it. I think the Ukrainians are in a good position. The Europeans have really stepped up. When I was in London last week, in Paris the week before that, you could see that the Ukrainians have really doubled down on this, and they're very hard on moving something forward. They're creating what's called a resiliency force. It'll be led by the Brits. It'll be led by the French with no U.S. troops. And they're really, really ready right now to reinforce, if they need to, their support of Ukraine. So this is at a stalemate. Nobody's going to win this war militarily. It's going to be done through diplomacy. And I think the Ukrainians now understand that quite well after last week. And I think the Russians need to understand that. And President Trump has it exactly right in where he wants to go to.
All right, General Kellogg, thank you so much, and keep us posted. Everyone's paying a lot of attention. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.